Good morning! People often ask me, what happens when you are too old for van life? Well, I have no idea, and I'm totally fine with that. I've always preferred to live in the now, or at least the near future, because honestly, I don't have a crystal ball. None of us know what life will look like in 25 years. The only thing I'm almost certain of is that we won't be playing by the same rules as previous generations. I can imagine plenty of scenarios, and most of them don't exactly involve everyone living happily into old age. There could be a financial collapse that makes our savings worthless. Floods, fires, earthquakes, wars, nuclear bombs, big rocks from space. Or a virus far worse than the one we saw in 2020. We are already on track to wipe out life in the oceans. And when that happens, bye-bye humans, because the ocean is our biggest oxygen producer. And then there is always the possibility of being wiped out by AI-powered robots. But hey, there is also one scenario that actually sounds kind of nice. Imagine a world with universal income. Jobs are scarce because AI does most of the work, and humans get paid just for existing. Doesn't that sound lovely? We would all turn into well-fed house cats. Though I have to admit, that might also mean a lot of bored, unfulfilled people wandering around without purpose. Whatever life throws at me, I will adapt. Maybe one day my body won't keep up with my current semi-retirement rhythm. By the way, can I call myself semi-retired? I still work for most of my income, but I have structured my life so I only need to work half the year. Well, if I get too old for it, I might switch to a steady part-time job instead. Hopefully by then, I will have traveled enough that I won't mind staying in one place for a while. I might go back to office work, or maybe all my work will be online. I will cross that bridge when I get to it. I have tried giving quick answers to these questions in the comments before, but it's such a complex topic that a few sentences just can't cover it. Some people described my attitude as youthful. We all know they really meant naive, don't we? The funny thing is, when I actually was young, I completely subscribed to the idea of delaying gratification. Work hard first, buy a house, save up enough to retire comfortably, and then enjoy life. I even got a mortgage and bought a house at 24. God knows why. I have always known I didn't want to live in the Czech Republic. Back then, I must have been really torn between my dreams and social conditioning. As I got older, I've realized a few things. First, tomorrow isn't guaranteed. And that's why we shouldn't delay all our joy for later. If I died tomorrow, sure, there would be things I would still want to see and do, but honestly, I would feel at peace. I have had more experiences than many people get in several lifetimes. So, fair enough, let's go. But if I had spent my whole life delaying happiness for someday, I would probably feel pretty cheated. My mother passed away at 57. She didn't have much joy in her life and never made it to retirement, the time she was finally supposed to enjoy. That really stuck with me. Life is now. Would I ever regret not preparing for retirement as well as some others? That brings me to my second realization. I don't have to suffer. Even if I got sick or poor, as people sometimes warn me, I know I have options. I won't go into details because I don't want to sound dark or give anyone wrong ideas, but for me, just knowing there is a way out brings peace. I don't fear life ending. I fear not living. But I'm not leaving everything to the universe and hoping for the best. Let me put on my adult pants for a second. Just in case the world doesn't collapse and I do live to see retirement, I have started taking it more seriously. Since approaching 40, I have been putting away 20k a year into savings and investments. And if I keep it up for 25 years, I will end up with around $1 million. That's based on an average return of about 5% a year. A pretty conservative estimate. It could be more, assuming the markets don't collapse. Which, let's be real, is always a possibility. Sure, $1 million in 25 years might only be worth half of what it is today, but that should still be enough to live off the interest. $20,000 a year might sound like a lot, especially if you are semi-retired, like me. But it's not as hard as it seems. About $4,000 gets added to my super, aka 401k, by my employers. The government throws in another $500 if I meet certain criteria, and I usually get around $6,000 back in tax each year. Shout out to the tax department for being my accidental savings account. And that goes straight into my ETFs. That leaves only about $9,500 to contribute from my wages. Suddenly that number doesn't feel so scary anymore. If you are around 40, don't wait to start investing. Time is your best friend when it comes to growing your money. I grew up poor, so I didn't know anything about investing. And now I spend my workdays listening to finance podcasts and trying to learn. I don't count on any government handouts. If there is a pension, great, I will treat it as a bonus. Or maybe universal income will be a thing by then, and all this planning will be completely pointless. People often ask if I see myself still living in a van when I'm old. Again, no crystal ball here, but I'm not opposed to it. As long as I'm healthy and can keep my driver's license, why not? I follow two amazing women on YouTube, Brenna from Australia and Marlene from New Zealand. They inspire me and remind me I don't have to stop anytime soon. Even if I had to stay in caravan parks more, I would probably still prefer that to living in a house. Unless, of course, it's with my friend Hannah. We used to live together and had the perfect symbiosis. She loves cleaning, I love cooking. We split the chores accordingly. We have joked about moving in together with a few friends when we are old. Maybe I could just camp in the yard. Like George Bernard Shaw said, we don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. As long as I'm still playing, I will do everything I can to keep driving. And just because you live in a van, it doesn't mean you can't buy property later. In fact, maybe it's easier, because you are not spending 50 to 70% of your income on rent or a mortgage. But even when you own a house, you are still paying taxes, insurance, maintenance. Ownership isn't free, it's just different. I have actually seen quite a few homeowners sell their properties and go back to renting. It turns out owning your primary residence isn't as cheap as we have been led to believe. Will the property bubble ever burst? Will houses stop costing us both kidneys, liver, eyes, heart, and a firstborn child? Maybe one day. We're probably just one nasty virus away from affordable land again. Sorry, dark humor. It's very Czech of me. I feel quite torn between two futures. One full of doom and gloom, and one full of possibility. It all depends on whether humanity decides to wake up. But whatever happens, I'm not scared. I trust the universe, my mindset, my preparedness, and my survival skills. And if I fail, if I die of hunger or disease because I couldn't afford food or treatment, at least know I lived a life worth dying for. People sometimes want me to regret my choices, as if my regret would validate theirs. But if you need someone else's misery to feel better about your life, maybe it's time to rethink your choices. I'm really trying to publish this video today, but I have just had a really nasty migraine. I had 2 painkillers, I had a snooze. I'm still feeling quite nauseous. But there is a few more things I wanted to talk about in this video. Firstly, the 1 million, it is not a goal, it's a minimum. And call me naive, but I believe there is going to be opportunities to throw some extra chunks of money in there. And the sooner it happens, the greater is going to be the effect. And I know I am semi-retired, so I am not earning as much money as I could, but the trade-off is that I have time. I have time to be creative, I have time to be flexible and open to new ideas. If I was working 9 to 5 all the time, I would probably be exhausted on the weekends, sitting on the couch with a glass of wine, watching the Netflix, and most opportunities would probably just pass me by. Who knows, maybe one of my videos will go viral, or I will write a book, or I will design a van life gadget that will make van life so much easier and it will sell like hotcakes. Or maybe somebody will see my drone footage and offer me some work. The opportunities are endless, but the first step will have to be getting rid of my limiting beliefs. Stop thinking small, Jana. The other day I was watching YouTube and there was a video something like how I make 20k a month on YouTube, and my very first thought was, gosh, I would be happy with that in a year, like especially if it's American dollars. How much more do you need? And that's exactly the problem. And now I'm not complaining. I live simply, I have the freedom most people dream of, but deep down I have been telling myself that just enough is all I need, is all I deserve. And that's simply not the truth. And it's not what I want anymore. Now I want more, and not out of greed, but out of desire for more choice and peace and creative freedom. I don't want money to buy stuff. I want it to buy time and the ability to say yes to things that really matter. And so the next chapter may not be just about building a retirement fund, but it's also about creating a new mindset so that I can create this freedom, this abundance, and not just survive. What about you? Do you ever think about retirement, or do you prefer to live in the moment? Do you think we will live till old age? And would you trade stability for freedom if it meant working less and living more? And what is one limiting belief about money that you would like to let go of? Let's talk about it in the comments. And I thank you so much for watching, and see you next time. Bye!